We're studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, entitled Remembrance of Lord Krishna, Text 25. It's June 26th, 2022. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Rotama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatojam Udiraya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta praise for Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavat Utama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 25. Vasudevasya Devakyam Jata Oja Indra Bandhane Chikirshu Bhagavan Asya Sham Ajena Abhyachita Vasudevasya Devakyam Jato Bhojendra Bandhane Chikirshu Bhagavanasya Sham Ajena Vyachita Vasudevasya Devakyam Jato Bhojendra Bandhane Chikirshu Bhagavanasya Sham Ajena Vyachita Vasudevasya Devakyam Jato Bhojendra Bandhane Chikirshu Bhagavanasya Shamajena Vyachita
Vasudevasya
Devakyam
Jato
Bhojendra Bandhane Chikirshu Bhagavanasya Samajena Vyachita
Vasudevasya Devakyam Jato Bhojendra Bandhane
Chikirshu Bhagavanasya Samajena Vyachita. Would anyone online like to recite the verse?
Vasudevasya Devakyam Jato Bhojendra Bandhane Chikirshur Bhagavanasya Sham Ajena Vyachita
Vasudevasya of the wife of Vasudeva. Devakyam in the womb of Devaki. Jata born of. Bhoja Indra of the king of the Bhojas. Bandhane in the prison house. Chikirshu for doing. Bhagavan the personality of Godhead. Asya of the earth. Sham welfare. Ajena by Brahma. Abhyachita being prayed for. Translation. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, being prayed to by Brahma to bring welfare to the earth, was begotten by Vasudeva in the womb of his wife Devaki in the prison of the king of Boja. Purport by his divine grace, A.E.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Although there is no difference between the Lord's pastimes of appearance and disappearance, the devotees of the Lord do not generally discuss the subject matter of his disappearance. Vidura inquired indirectly from Uddhava about the incident of the Lord's disappearance by asking him to relate Krishna Katha, or topics on the history of Lord Krishna. Thus, Uddhava began the topics from the very beginning of his appearance as a son of Vasudeva and Devaki in the prison of Kamsa, the king of the Bojas at Mathura. The Lord has no business in this world, but when he is so requested by devotees like Brahma, he descends on the earth for the welfare of the entire universe. This is stated in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 8, Paritranaya sadhunam dinashaya chatuskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Yes. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshura Militamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitamina Bhutale Svayam Upakadamayam Tadati Svapadatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sadhanaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Purijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishkan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripri Panchakalpati Yubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3 Chapter 2 Text 25 Vasudevasya Devakyam Jato Bojendra Bantane Chikir Shura Bhagavanasya Shamachena Vyachita. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, being prayed to by Brahma to bring welfare to the earth, was begotten by Vasudeva in the womb of his wife Devaki in the prison of the king of Boja. Hare Krishna. Okay, so I'm here. We're here at Mother Malini's ashram with Malini and Mother Damayanti. In line, there's Gajendra Prabhu and Anandini Prabhu and Bhakti George Prabhu. And we have a cell phone, Samsung. Would you like to identify yourself? Who is the cell phone? I just like to know who we're present, who we're associating with. Hare Krishna, Hare. No identification. Okay, well, okay. I'm trusting your just not available to speak. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, 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 Hare. Okay, so Prabhupada starts the purport. Although there is no difference between the Lord's pastimes of appearance and disappearance, the devotees of the Lord do not generally discuss the subject matter of his disappearance. Okay, so this is Achintya Beta Beta Tattva principle. Achintya Beta Beta Tattva means inconceivably and simultaneously one and different. So there's no difference between the Lord's pastimes of appearance and disappearance. So a verse that Prabhupada often quotes from Bhagavad Gita, maybe it's like the most quoted verse. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatvata taktva deham punar janma neti mameti sojana. Krishna says that if one really understands, if one realizes the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities, then that's the Back to Godhead program. You got it. That's Back to Godhead. You won't be forced to take birth again in the material world. Tyaktiv deham punar janma neti mam eti sojana. And so, Krishna's appearance and activities, Janma Karma, appearance and activities, birth. Again, and one of those activities is the disappearance pastime. So it's one, the appearance and disappearance are one of Krishna and his pure devotees. They're one because they're transcendental. Transcendental. It's like Krishna's appearance and disappearance, all Krishna's activities, and the dancing with the gopis and playing with the cowherd boys and speaking to Arjuna. These are transcendental pastimes. They're eternal, as we sometimes emphasize. Eternal doesn't mean a long time. Eternal means outside of time altogether. So these are existing eternally in the timeless realm where every word is a song, every step is a dance, to quote Brahma Samhita, right where like Rajas is creation, Tamas is destruction. So Sattva is maintenance. Then pure Sattva, that's the realm of Krishna's activities and the activities of his pure devotee. Means they're not created. They're not created in time, and they're not destroyed. That means like each moment exists eternally. Each moment exists eternally. And because there's no creation, there's no destruction. They exist eternally. And then those transcendental pastimes, whether appearance or disappearance or any of the pastimes, those transcendental pastimes that they sometimes Krishna will disclose them to conditioned souls in this realm. It says Krishna will reveal them, will disclose them to conditioned souls in this realm. And so why? Because any contact with transcendental vibration, those timeless pastimes, whether it's appearance, disappearance, like right now, later today, we have a Chaitanya Charitamrita group, and it's a chapter in Madhya Lila, chapter 16, and so many like affectionate exchanges between Lord Chaitanya and his devotees, like that. So we just touch those timeless pastimes, and then we get some glimpse of returning to our original eternal nature. We get some glimpse of returning to our original eternal nature, and So that's why appearance, disappearance, it's all one, right? There's no difference. It's all one, because it's all the pastimes are transcendental. I can say this morning. Okay. This morning, I was kind of dragging myself, and then I kind of made it up, sort of a little later than I wanted to, and my mind, my energy was dragging. And then driving here, I pressed the button, and then Prabhupada, and then I heard Prabhupada's vibration, and like it didn't matter what he was saying. I mean, of course it mattered. Anandini, you keep going off mute, and then I keep putting you back on mute. Hare Krishna. Okay, so so of course it mattered what he was saying, but the point is whether he's singing a bhajan. It was a class, it was like in the 1960s in New York, and it was a class on the 6th chapter, Chanswami Mana Krishna Pamati Bhavanjita. so I heard Prabhupada's vibration. I like instantaneously I transformed. Instantaneously I got enthusiastic about my day. I wasn't dragging myself. Like within moments, within a split second, because Prabhupada's vibration, Golokara, Premadana, Harinam, Sankirtan, it's coming from a different realm, coming from that timeless realm. So I connect with my timeless self, and then in that way, in that way, then yeah. Yesterday I gave a talk for about 20 minutes at a mental health symposium and expo organized by Laurie Reisman and Shakur. They invited me to speak. And so anyhow, a place where I kind of my focus was mental health. Okay, well, life is difficult and full of disturbances. So there, accept that. That's a basis of mental health. Okay, so that, yeah, so life is difficult and full of disturbances and difficulties, sometimes relatively minor, sometimes quite traumatic and severe, this and that. And sometimes we divide it into 16 categories of disturbances from our own mind and the body, and disturbances from pandemics, and disturbance from eating, sleeping, mating, defending, cheating, limitations. We can go on and on, right? Okay, all right. And so, right. So life is full of disturbances. And so that doesn't mean that we need to be disturbed, right? Dhiras tatra nabuyati, dhiras tatra, right? The self-realized soul is not disturbed in the face of all the changes. We can think of the change of body, like, oh yeah, from childhood to youth to old age. Or let's say if I were to take a cross section of my mind at any phase of life. Let's go back 45 years. So I'm in the body of a 16-year-old David Wolf. Okay. All right. So, and sometimes in some programs we'll do like a closed eye exercise. Yes. Enter into that body of the 5-year-old. What's it like to peer through the eyes of that 5-year-old? Okay, now you're going to the body of the 15-year-old. Now you as a young adult, 22 years old. Well, what are your anxieties? What are your joys? Like, that's okay. So one thing that was very clear at 16 years old is that the particular set of anxieties, insecurities, problems, desires, that I was experiencing, that was definitely the most important thing happening on the planet. Okay. I mean, other things may have been uncertain, but that was certain. No, not just the planet, the entire universe. Nothing was more important. But actually, even okay, within 2 years later, 18 years later, 10 years later, okay, then whatever's happening at 16, that's insignificant. What's really important is the set of difficulties and disturbances that I'm facing today here in June 2022. Not even just like, we don't even need to go a decade, even if I look back like 2 weeks. Okay, two weeks ago, okay, I was in the midst of a Savatov advanced seminar in a particular setup. Okay, so like that's always changing. That's always changing. And then we have the opportunity to connect with the timeless, connect with the eternal. And I shared a brief experience just this morning driving here, listening to Prabhupada for a few moments. Okay. Then the disturbances don't change, but then I'm just like, oh, I got this. Then I'm from like dreading and dragging to joyful and enthusiastic. Yeah, okay. Then I transform from have to get to use that transformational language. Then I'm, okay. I get to respond to this set of difficulties and considerations. I get to respond to this with enthusiasm for serving Prabhupada today. I get to, and I even get just this morning, even more recently than the car ride to Malini's. And then I, started chanting japa. And I've got got a lot of stuff going on about this one, like around the Safatov coach training school, and a lot of administration, like that. But then I started chanting japa this morning, and that was particularly focused japa. Like if I'm unfocused from the holy names to like think about service, for me that's pretty good. I mean, better than to be distracted to other places. Anyhow, I'm not recommending it. Like, I know it's, not the highest, but anyhow, so I got clear realization how to integrate this administrative stuff for the coach training school into Srimad Bhagavatam, I did into my service to Bhagavad Gita, like that. So like I'm actually, I got some, pretty good amount of enthusiasm rather than just dealing with this and that. So that comes from, because Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Prabhupada's sound vibration, it's timeless. All of the pastimes, all of the forms. That's why we connect with this. And and so, okay, so there's no difference between the Lord's pastimes, appearance and disappearance. And yet there's a difference, right? So like Prabhupada says here, so like, okay, the Lord's appearance, or, okay, it says, but the devotees do not generally discuss the subject matter of his disappearance. Well, if there's no difference, why not discuss that? Okay, now my sense here in this part of the chapter, so like till now in this part of the chapter, Uddhava is kind of like, as Malini described, yes, he's kind of like, he seems he's sort of going here and there and remembering his emotional, spiritual melancholy emotion. He's kind of going here and there. Now, like starting with this verse, he's like systematically describing chronologically the pastimes of Krishna. He's like getting more focused in that way. And he's talking about the appearance, okay, in the dungeon there, like that. And so there's no difference, and then there is a difference. So there's no difference because it's all transcendental. At the same time, there's a difference because different pastimes evoke different flavors, different rasas of transcendental emotion. Different flavors, different rasas of transcendental emotion. So all of that emotion on that transcendental platform enhances and deepens one's affection for Krishna and Krishna's pure devotee. That's how it's one. But just like, let's say, I don't know. Okay, let's say if we take like Mother Yashoda and like the pastime of Krishna trying to lift his father Nanda Maharaj's shoes, and he's put the shoe in. Okay, so we can like imagine like Mother Yashoda, just fondly remember that. Then there's the pastime of Krishna being snatched away by the tornado demon, and Mother Yashoda's terror and fear and just desperation. She practically died. So right, so the pastimes are one because they all deepen her love even more for Krishna. But it's kind of like, oh, let's talk about when the tornado demons. No, like it's quite a different flavor. No, I don't want to talk about that one. That was terrible. But oh yeah, look at Krishna trying to lift his father's shoes and like that. So it's all one. Yet there's different sentiments. There's different. How do I say? Sentiment is different than sentimental. Sentimental means like we're non-philosophical and we just get swayed. But a sentiment means like a particular nuance, a flavor of a sweet emotion, like that. Right. So there's different rasas. There's rasa of fear and rasa of chivalry, rasa of laughter, and rasa of friendliness and like that. Okay. So it's one and they're not one. Okay. And so appearance, disappearance, but Uddhava is reluctant to directly discuss the disappearance of Sri Krishna like that because it evokes such painful emotion. Again, all these transcendental emotions bring the devotee even deeper into their love and dedication to serve Krishna. Okay, and then then as the purport goes on, Prabhupada says, the Lord has no business in this world, but when he is so requested by devotees like Brahma, he descends on the earth for the welfare of the entire universe. Okay, so no business. There's a verse from the Vedas, Prabhupada quotes a lot. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. Means Krishna has nothing to do. So again, it gets to the get to have to distinction. The get to have to distinction. And so it's this term pastime, pastime. If we just look at the ordinary meaning of pastime, like, oh, I have to go to work. I have to go to work every day, Monday to Friday. But on the weekend, my pastime is I play golf, or I like to hike in the woods. So pastime, that's what we don't have to do it. But I watch TV, like that. Okay. So I don't have to do it, but I have to go to work. So for Krishna and Krishna's pure devotee, everything is get to, everything is pastime, everything is pastime, even the apparently mundane, right? Like Srila Prabhupada attending to bookkeeping, it's pastime. It's pastime. There's so many quotes where Prabhupada says, the most important service is book distribution. There's at least one place where Prabhupada writes, the most important service is bookkeeping. Yeah.
Bookkeeping for Krishna?
Yeah, exactly. And he was so, you could see, like, when you read his diaries, like, he kept track of every penny. And it wasn't miserly. It was just like, I want every penny to be used effectively and efficiently for Krishna. Prabhupada said he learned from his mother about rice. Like, his mother was very attentive, like not to waste one grain of rice from the pot, or if it fell. So Prabhupada was like that with everything, just so attentive and scrupulous for Krishna, for Krishna. And so that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we like to quote that. He says, anxieties, whether it's about Lakshmi, money, or anything, anxieties undertaken in your service are the source of my greatest ecstasy. So to the extent that we absorb ourselves in this transcendental vibration, whether it's in the form of the name, the pastimes, the qualities of Krishna's pure devotees, the lila, the activities, the forms, the associates, the paraphernalia, the more we absorb ourselves, then we enter into that pure, steady, get to enthusiastic. Nothing. Then we have nothing to do. Nothing is forced by the modes of nature. So this Natasya Karanam Vijay doesn't mean, oh, now we can just be lazy. No, because like then the more that the spirit soul is on that platform of spontaneous enthusiasm to serve Krishna and seeing how everything's connected with Krishna, then there's then that's joyful anxiety. Because this, like, okay, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, anxiety is undertaking your service. I regard as the source of my greatest ecstasy. So we gave, like, might be for me, like an esoteric example, Mother Yashoda, she's in such anxiety, Krishna's being attacked by all these demons. Okay, but that anxiety is blissful. Okay, so then, so here, and very applied, like, okay, so, the more we get, like, yeah, I'm caring for my children. I'm caring for my children. I'm caring for this vehicle that's broken down. Okay, I got this computer problem stuff going on. I just got this email come in. Oh, how am I gonna? Okay.
Just listed my whole, like, we could just, all those examples applied to
I've just done an inventory of Damayanti's life.
There's more, but
Yeah, there's more. Yeah, I was going to go, but we get the idea. Okay, there was just a brief, just a few highlights, but there's many more. I get that. Yeah, and then the more we get that, like, I mean, there's intellectual and theoretical is a nice start, but then the more we're realizing, like, I'm doing this for Krishna, like for me, I've got nothing to do. I'm doing this for Krishna. Then even handling the apparently ordinary, mundane details. Anandini has my life. So I've described her life too somehow or other. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then it's get to. And yeah. Then it's get to. And so that's why all these pastimes, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna and Arjuna, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, everything Prabhupada gave us. Here, Uddhava speaking to every verse, it's a chance to, it's like window into the spiritual world. Not like spiritual world as an escapist thing. It's a chance for us to enter into our timeless nature and to get to respond to the different complexities and disturbances of life from that, from purpose, from that timeless platform, from enthusiasm to connect Krishna's energy with Krishna's service. And so we, the opportunity, the possibility is to be living in that joyful, enthusiastic, blissful get-to consciousness all the time. And again, when I say all, it's not boring. There's unlimited variety of emotion. Like right here, Uddhava, he's in that get-to place. He's in that full enthusiasm. Nothing for Uddhava to do for himself. When he's exchanging with Vidura, and he's in a very melancholy mood. Okay. Then there's like Lord Chaitanya dancing in ecstasy, and then there's Prabhupada's sweet pastimes, Prabhupada being angry as a thunderbolt. Okay, so there's unlimited variety, even more variety than exists in the dullness of material emotional life. Yes. What was that?
I repeated dullness of material.
Yeah. I mean, okay, well, thanks for emphasizing that.
That's your words.
Yeah, it's my word, so I'll just go deeper into it since you mentioned it. The dullness of material, because the material world, it is like amazing, practically unlimited variety of activity and emotions and color and personality. The material world, and that's it. That's like the glare of Maya, and then it's the glare. But then if we get and compared to the vibrant vitality of spiritual life, it's all very dull, including the emotional drama of it all. And then that's it. To the extent that we're in that to the extent that we're not connected with the timeless, then we get absorbed in the drama of the immaterial emotion. We get absorbed in the drama of it. And then that's so frustrating, and maybe we're suffering from depression or envy. Then we go to
We could be tossing donkeys in the sky.
so many things.
That are pretty dramatic.
So then we have our, let me just sleep. Let me just escape. We have our escape mechanisms. Maybe it's sleep, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's shopping for things. Why did I just buy that? Okay, because we need to escape from the disturbance and the difficulty of the drama of life, like that, right? Like that. So yeah, so this is responding, not reacting, responding. Responding to the complexities of life with realized enthusiasm for devotional service. So we said, well, so I shared, for the most part, I don't experience it, but I shared even me. 2 examples just from so far this morning. We're only at 20 before 9 a.m. Where, I connect with Prabhupada's vibration, connect with chanting Hare Krishna, and things that were dragging me down. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm actually inspired to get to that, Now, I don't know where I'll be 2 hours from now, but I have enough experience that to the extent that I connect with this process, it works. So, and apart from just now this morning, but that's it. That's why, Krishna says in chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, gradually, step by step. For most of us, we talk about it's a gradual process, you know. So Prabhupada's given us a program where it's not like, do we follow or not follow? It's like, to the extent that we follow, neha bikram state, pratyavayam vijite, svapamapya siddhame satrate mato bhaya. Krishna says, even if we just do 1%, then that's our eternal benefit, you know. So it's not all or nothing. And, yeah, so to the extent we give ourselves to the process, then our stages of consciousness become stronger in their foundations. Then we're more and more absorbed in the eternality of the nature of the soul. And it's like, to the extent we cultivate sattva gun, then we can, you know, feel some glimpses of transcendence, at least some idea that if they're just like from the first few glimmers of dawn when the sun's rising, it really doesn't give us any direct experience of the blazing sun in the sky. But from the few glimmers of dawn, we're relieved of the fear of darkness. And we get some idea that, yeah, there is something other than darkness. So that's like sattva. So from the nectar of instruction, right? Srila Rupa Goswami described six items or ways of being that are very favorable if we want to cultivate this consciousness of ourselves as eternal beings. Jivera Srupoi Krishnera Nichanas Krishnera Tatasta Shakti Beta Beta Prakash. That word, eternal servants of Krishna, and enter into these timeless pastimes, not as an escape, as a grounded reality, as a foundation for our response to the opportunities of life. And they become opportunities rather than problems, like that. Okay, so utsaha nishchaya darya tat karma pravartana sango jagat satovide sadbir bhakti prasidati. So enthusiasm, Prabhupada defines enthusiasm as endeavor executed with intelligence. And, you know, I have a few glimmers of experience when I'm like, you know, engaged in some, okay, I'm doing this is my service to Prabhupada. It's my service to Prabhupada. And let me really apply, let me not escape, let me not go into pretend not to know, let me not let my mind get covered over, let me not go into, like that. Let me really sharply give my 100%, results are up to Krishna and Prabhupada, give my 100%, let me apply my intelligence, do my best. Then I'm happy and joyful. Then I'm happy and joyful. That's enthusiasm. So I have enough experience. So it works when I apply myself. And what's a nishtaya daryat, and confidence in the process, patience, tat karma pravartana. Prabhupada speaks about that we're practicing bhakti. This has been a theme in the recent week or so, practicing bhakti in an authorized line. That's so important. Shruti Smriti Puranadi, Pancharacha Vidim Vida, Akantiki Hare Bhakti Udpataya Eva Kalpate. So we get to feel very fortunate, you know, that we have this sublime process of bhakti, and it's in an authorized line through Srila Prabhupada. You know, we often say that, I'm not saying Prabhupada is the only way, but perhaps Prabhupada, what he gave, perhaps it is the only way. But whether it is or not, it's definitely an effective, powerful, tried, tested, and true way to enter into our original timeless nature, to enter into the consciousness of Uddhava and Vidura. And my practical experience, I won't make an absolute statement, but like those who are trying to practice bhakti without like Prabhupada as the current link, you know, this is one thing, like I can say, well, I'm lost. I'm lost, but I know where the path is. And I know what the path is. and like, or even oh, I'm on the path and I'm going like at a snail's pace. I'm going like half an inch a year. Okay, all right, but it's a path. I know I could sprint if I got just like more serious about this, less serious about sleeping and eating. This is the path. But like my experience is like, I'm not gonna say like everyone on the planet like that, you know, because like that, but it's just there's a tend where it's like trying to practice bhakti, but kind of not even know what the path actually is, other than in a sentimental way like that. So I feel very fortunate to have that. Prabhupada has revealed himself to me as my current link to Krishna's parampara. And yeah, and Sango Tyagat. So, because Rupa Goswami gives two lists, 6 states of consciousness or ways of being that are unfavorable, things like Achihara Prayascha, collecting too much. I expressed recently, like I feel envy of Malini. Recently, you've really like streamlined the whole house here, and you're doing things that like for like 12 years I'm saying I should do that, and like and just like I feel the achihara, the collecting too much, cluttering my mind, you know, like that. So I should get to that maybe next year, you know, that sort of thing. And so achihara can also mean collecting too much in the belly. Maybe some here have experience of that. I couldn't get personal experience of that one. Okay. Prayashas cha, it means over endeavoring. Prajalpas, nonsense, gossip, nonsense talk. Okay. Niyamagraha, and it means either following the rules and regulations blindly without like getting what's the purpose behind them. And Niyamagra also means to whimsically neglect rules and regulations that'll help us to enter into the get to consciousness that Prabhupada's talking about here. And then Srilupa Goswami says, Janasangas Chalalyamcha. He says, so something not to do is to associate with those in mundane consciousness who are not enthusiastic in the path of bhakti. And on his things to do list, he includes the same thing just in different language. So that's like a really important principle. He includes it on both lists. On the to-do list is do avoid their association. And on the not to-do list is don't associate there. Now, this is not about they are bad. It's not about them. It's about my tendency to be dragged down. It's not about putting up walls like that. It is about like being clear on here's my goal. I want to enter into this timeless consciousness, this timeless realm, and I want to enter. I want to enter into the original consciousness of the soul and pure devotion to Krishna, with even if for my happiness, you know, whatever. You make distinctions in your classes. If we do it for our happiness, okay, that's not like the Vrindavan consciousness. But for whatever reason, yeah, here's my goal. And like, you know, anyone with any goal means they part of that process is using careful discretion about who I intimately associate with and where I spend my time and where I get my energy. Like, it's not about hating anyone. It's not about judging. It's just like if someone is like, okay, I want my business to profit $1 million this year minimum. Okay, focusing in. So it means, okay, I'm going to attend this seminar on marketing. I'm going to do this, and like, okay, and I'm not going to get my time here. Someone's like, oh, I'm going to get my medical doctor degree. I'm going to get my medical degree. So it means like, yeah, I'm going to be associating a lot with the books, with these authors who wrote these books about physiology and surgery, and I'm not going to associate over there very much. I might, I'm not going to just get into conversation that doesn't suit my goal. So the association is just very important because we're uplifted or the opposite by it. Okay, so. All right, so we talked about the difference and non-difference of Krishna and the pure devotee's appearance and disappearance. And we talked about transformation, have to get to. I'll read the verse again. Vasudevasya devakyam jato bojendra bandhane tikir shur bhagavanasya sham ajana vyachita. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, being prayed to by Brahma to bring welfare to the earth, was begotten by Vasudeva in the womb of his wife Devaki in the prison of the king of Boja. Thank you for your presence. Hare Krishna. I welcome any comments, questions, inspirations, realizations at this time.
Excellent.
Damayanti.
Thank you for the class. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was very enlightening class. I had just a couple of thoughts that came to mind. Like,
Yeah.
well, one thing is you're talking about have to and get to consciousness.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit related, but I don't, somehow it came to mind. I don't know where what you said, but sometimes I'll like lament about how I acted in the past, or like one of the things that can cause like easily go into lamenting is like how the atmosphere of the home, and like it could have been more spiritual, it could have been more Sattvic, or like
Yeah.
wouldn't have been so triggered, or we weren't, so you know, we could have had not so much power dynamics, or like just not very conscious living in the home and raising children that, you know, I can easily feel the guilt
Yeah.
of pain, but then I think, well, I mean, if I'm that sincere, like I could turn this around tomorrow, like and forever, like, you know, it could just
Yeah.
be like, if I, and it's just an example, like
Yeah.
it's the same with Krishna consciousness. I also can lament about how I could have done better.
Yeah.
And better. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
if I'm,
Yeah.
but then it's like, well, am I really that sincere? Because tomorrow could be like a whole new day. It could just like, I could just skyrocket
Yeah.
in like another direction.
Right.
Like, you know, and I'm like, oh yeah, like there's really no point in lamenting. And there is a whole future ahead of me, you know, eternally. And I don't know how long I'll be in this body, but I still have the power of choice. And so we have a lot of power of choice. It's just something that I wanted to share. It's very hopeful, actually. And,
Very hopeful, yeah.
and the get to consciousness can come if you choose. You can choose it. It's like, all right, well, that's how things were in the past, but I get to choose it like a new response right now, like tomorrow, you know. Today.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's one more thing, and maybe you can share.
Sure.
In any time you want to share, but something that keeps occurring and like clicking for me, and also fascinatingly, also my husband.
Yeah.
Is to like support the process of Krishna consciousness. And all that comes with that, the chanting practice and the reading and focusing on how can I serve Prabhupada today, and or Krishna,
Yeah.
like how can I have that consciousness?
Yeah.
Something that keeps occurring for me, but also fascinatingly my husband, I don't know why, but it's interesting, is that going out on Sankirtan is going to like really facilitate and like even like kind of speed up the process. Like, and
Yeah, really accelerate.
I mean, it's
the
nice to
process.
acknowledge that
Yeah.
it is gradual to transform your consciousness.
Yeah.
And like, if you don't feel urgency about your transformation of your
Right.
consciousness, if you're not experiencing really any urgency at all, like a huge like boost is, I think, going out on Sankirtan, because you're just taking on a whole new identity, and it's like, and it's like pleasing to Prabhupada, and it's bringing souls possibly back to their original consciousness and Krishna. And it's just really super pleasing to the ultimate kind of bhakti yoga goals, devotional service. So it's just like, it keeps clicking for us that like we have to go do Sankirtan. Like, and for me, it's like more a joy.
Yeah.
And for my husband, it's not, but it's clicking to him. I'm really grateful.
Yeah.
And I just want to put that out there. I kept coming like, well, yeah. And if you want a boost, or if you're feeling too stuck, and like just drop your whole story, your whole identity and all of that, and just take 2 hours out and like just do Sankirtan and like completely. So anyway, we're going today.
You're going today.
Putting it out there.
Yes.
The car is fixed after 3 weeks of not having a car, and I don't think maybe it's raining today, but another time it rained out anyway. But I feel like we keep getting blocked. But maybe that was good to cultivate the desire or something.
Yeah,
But we have a plan, my family and I,
you're
to
going to
go
Depot
to
Park.
Depot
and-
Park at 5:30 p.m.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Join us.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Krishna. Yeah, Malin,
Can I share?
please,
Because,
please do, please do.
Just last night I was reading, I'm reading a book that I really enjoy, and it's about book distribution. And it's about the whole history of book distribution, everything Prabhupada said about book distribution. And Prabhupada, he had a plot. He had a Sankirtan plot.
Yeah,
And it's very clear, it's Sankirtan plot, that it's a plot coming from above, like it's
Yeah.
descending. And this plot is, if you distribute the books, it's a win-win-win.
mhm,
Like the people who are like the production of books, it's going to increase. And the people who distribute the books are going to be taken care and completely maintained. And the people who get the books and read them, they are going to be transcendental realization.
mhm.
And he make it very clear, like if we give ourselves to book distribution, we'll have no trouble with maintenance.
Right.
It's so amazing, you know, like Prabhupada had a scheme, it's called a plot. He said, he used the word plot. It's a transcendental plot.
Yes,
And because Prabhupada is a pure devotee, he has the power with Krishna to move energy and create Lakshmi's energy, whatever way he wants. And so it's something I wanted to share because I just read it last night.
thanks for sharing that
Transcendental plots of Srila Prabhupada in book distribution.
from the book, Our Family Business.
Yeah, it's really, I really like it. It's so, I like that Prabhupada is a prominent link, and that's his book, The Savior of Humanity.
Nice. Thanks for sharing. Anything much, because I know Malin, like, in your history in Krishna consciousness, you've really been, kind of embodying that. You've shared stories with me where you just go out on Sankirtan, go out on book distribution. I mean, when Namant was sharing, I was thinking of different parts of your history in Krishna consciousness.
Mhm. Yeah, and my intention in Denver is
That mood,
plug into that.
that mood.
Yeah. To plug into that in the city
Nice.
of Denver, not against you. Yeah. And there's more I want to say about the first point, but maybe
No, you say.
about the first point, like to get to the guilt, the shame because things are not the way I want them to be, and I know I have the power, and it's just the willpower to, I'm not. And there is an element in all that that's so important in spiritual life, also, is to come to a place of accepting our limitation.
Yeah.
Because unless we know we are insignificant and we accept our limitation, we are not making advancement in spiritual life. So where all that fit, like let's say the soul inhabiting Cipriani or Siddhanta and Lakshman, let's say within their soul, there is embedded part of their past activities from their past life that they will live in a household that sometimes is going to be of some chaos and sometimes some power struggle. What power do you have to change that? I'm just asking the question because, I think, anyway, guilt and shame and feeling bad about ourselves, it's not conducive for spiritual life.
Yeah.
Period. And it's against spiritual life. And, we get to give 100%, we get to show up. And after we do that, we have limitation, and even limitation about controlling ourselves. Why will we think that we can control ourselves when we don't even control our digestion, or if our eyes are opening or closing? We are not controlling so many things. Why is it there is so much like emphasize on I should control, I should endeavor to control, I should give my 100% to control myself. And at the same time, there is that other part. And sometimes it's, we don't want that to be an excuse. I slap your face, so it must be your karma. We don't want to abuse that principle. At the same time, how do we integrate also that principle in what we were speaking about? That's my question.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for that. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Okay. Haribo. Anandini wrote, because she left it. Thank you, Hare Krishna. My pearl is decluttering to create space for serving Krishna. Haribo.
Oh, I have something to say also about that. Remember before the end.
You want to say now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to hear your response to my question.
Well, I mean, so many principles here, so many distinctions. Those one is there's 18th chapter, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nashochati Nakankshati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Lapate Puram. So Krishna is describing to Arjuna that the spiritual state of consciousness, there's no lamenting of the past, no hankering for the future. Sometimes we put all the grungies and survival strategies, they're like, we can see them, they're either predominated by tamas or rajas. Tamas means hankering about the past. Maybe it's a depression, lamentation, or lamenting about the past, or hankering for a future, the anxiety type of grungies, anxiety like that, and like that. So yeah, it's so between stimulus and response, there's a moment of choice. So I can lament, I can hanker, I get to choose. Okay, how do I choose to show up now? How do I choose to show up now in service to Prabhupada? Whatever my mess ups in the past, we're reading again in this Majjhima Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada's talking about how, like, Lord Nityananda, he delivered Jagai and Madai. Okay, and then Prabhupada indirectly, humbly refers to himself delivering thousands and thousands of Jagais and Madais. Jagais and Madais, these are very degraded fellows. And so there's, okay, so whether it's my past an hour ago, a minute ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, 50 years ago, lifetimes ago, okay, I got so much Jagai and Madai stuff going on. All right, but that's it. Like, this bhakti is transcendental. And we get to choose bhakti. We get to choose bhakti, however shameful the past or whatever. We get to choose bhakti in each moment. It's not dependent on any of that. Bhakti is just one time chanting the holy name with presence is just more powerful than more sins that millions of jagais and madais can perform. Okay, and so we get to choose. How do I serve Prabhupada now? Okay, all right, look, I'm going to clean up that mess. I'm going to go out on Sankirtan. And that's it. Prabhupada gave us. So that's family life. We're going out on Sankirtan. I'm sure there's other things you could fret and worry about, but we're just going out on Sankirtan. And that's it. That's okay. So that's beautiful. Yeah, and that such choices are available at every moment, and to the extent that I'm in the have to, the material mind, well, no, but first I have to, like that. But then when we just surrender to entering into that transcendental activity, then we have an experience of like, oh, we experience with the joy of the soul, and that handles everything. And then we get realizations how to handle everything. And then, and then the discussion, because realizations how to handle everything, or even like, I don't have realization of behind everything, and everything is perfect and complete. And like we get that everything, because like, I know how to handle everything, but as your sharing indicates, like oftentimes that's illusion. Like I'll control it this way and that way. but so then, work like everything depends on us, pray like everything depends on Krishna. So, and then even for our own surrender, I think what you're sharing, it's kind of like a higher stage. It's kind of like a higher stage, realizing that even my spiritual advancement and choosing bhakti more, and choosing sattva more, that even that it's kind of from a power that's beyond me. Bhakti start to the world stands in no need of any reformer and everything. Even that realizing Krishna as a supreme controller and just surrendering to that, not neglecting our responsibilities, not neglecting to give our 100%, but internally cultivating that prayerful, ultimately Krishna, it's up to you. Even me to pray sincerely, ultimately Krishna, it's up to you, and I'm going to give my 100% effort. So that's like the integration.
Not be attached to the result.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we may even act in a way that we're not really happy with. And it's always good to look at ourselves, find the self-realization, find a way to to be with Krishna with that, and also to let go. Because who knows how Krishna uses.
Yeah.
Krishna uses all the time.
Yeah.
We are his instruments, willing instrument or unwilling instrument, but we are his instruments.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a relatively very advanced stage of bhakti. Because I can see a continuum of the beginning stages of karma yoga, and then that merges into bhakti. But so I'm the doer, but I'm doing my rounds, I'm cultivating the sattvic in my. But so I'm the doer, and then at more advanced stages, realizing just this, not even, it's just this surrender to Krishna's will, really not being attached even to what my own mind does, but not in a way where it's a spiritual bypass.
Or complacency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
I don't think you have something to say.
Yeah, you said about the declutter and stuff.
Yeah, so I want to share because I was lucky. I had been in a house for many, many years.
Yeah.
That I wanted to get to, clear and go to and absorb myself in and declutter. And it's been weighing on my mind for a long time.
Yeah.
And even the last year, I started maybe November or December thinking, okay, well, I have a lot of time in my life right now, more than ever. I don't have any responsibility when I had million of responsibility before.
Yeah.
So I'm going to declutter the house. And I didn't get to it. And then when all my roommates, everybody moved out of the house at the end of March, I said, okay, April and May, therefore decluttering the house. And I didn't do it in April. And then I started about 2 weeks ago, a little bit over 2 weeks ago. And the experience has been so grounding in spiritual realization.
Wow.
I want to share that to encourage everyone, mainly. And because as I was decluttering, there was that really deep experience of eternity, deep experience of before maybe I would have been scared of letting go of some paper.
Right.
Some bills or
something,
or sentimental. Maybe my daughter, when she grew up, she would want to have that, or feel
different
like
things.
that.
Yeah.
And somehow it was so easy, but it was easy coming from that place of eternity, coming from that place of
Yeah.
What is to fear?
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
this life is tottering like a
Totally,
drop,
like a drop on the lotus.
drop
On the
of
lotus.
water
Yeah.
tottering on the leaf. It's just passing by, and those things are not important, and they are not defining me, and it was such a beautiful experience of that realization of death of the body, of death of
Yeah.
this life, of like, it's not really important, this life, and the moving on to the next chapter that will not have any of that.
Right.
And also, and including like, okay, all those things, they are made of the 5 elements.
Yeah, maybe fine.
Including these bodies,
Yes.
the gross bodies
Yeah.
made of the 5 elements. And then what's my responsibility is not, like the body is here, but the responsibility is to clear the subtle body.
Yeah.
And all those things attached to material, whatever material it is, it's happening on the subtle body only.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Of course, if we clear ourselves, the subtle body, it's not like the IRS, or even if the IRS come and say, where is that? And I don't have it,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
If you cannot see me, you cannot catch me.
Yeah. Abai. Is it? Thanks for sharing. I'm inspired. But
You-
your experience of moving towards fearlessness.
Yeah.
Fearlessness of you as that timeless spirit soul, and because those other stuff of the 5 minutes, that's the dream world pastimes.
The attachment.
Has a beginning and an end.
Yeah. I don't need to leave a legacy or leave anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I say that to encourage everyone to it was such it's not been, I have maybe a few hours more, very little more, but
Yeah.
it's having such enlivening, exciting, like, you spoke about chanting Japan, thinking of a project or service. I was excited. It was hard to chant, it was hard to read, because all I could think is, decluttering.
Yeah. You're excited about that service because you're getting
Super
so many deep realizations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, I'm just hearing that like initially decluttering was something that you avoided and it had maybe procrastinated. Similar thing. And then somehow when you brought spirituality into it, it became really exciting. Is that true?
Again, I think it wasn't mine. It was like the desire was there for a long time, and a strong desire, and seeing that this is my service right now. I felt that since about November of 2021, I've been clear that my service is to declutter. Mm-hmm. That's my main service. Mm-hmm. And but all those months and the unblocking of it, I cannot take credit for it. I don't know where I came from. Mm-hmm. But then I became very excited and so amazing. Of course, it's a long time because I'm still decluttering, but I should be packing because I'm leaving for 5 weeks. And so it's taking a crunch on me right now, which is stupid because I could have done it 3 months ago and not create that crunch.
You're enthused about the decluttering service. You're enthused.
Completely, yeah. Yeah, in fact, if I could have 2 more weeks, I will. It will be all done and I will be happy, but I just have 2 more days.
That's how it happened.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
There's something magical just in that.
Gajendra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Good morning. Wow, so I'm a little bit amused because I decided this morning I was going to listen to class in my office where I was going to spend time, decluttering and straightening up. So I thought, oh my gosh. and it's actually following an interesting conversation I had with a possible new worker on one of the lands here, talking about the very issue. But actually kind of related to what Mother Malini, was just talking about. The little thought that I wanted to give is I think about, Srila Prabhupada gives the example of the elephant that's dirty and will then take a bath in the river, but can come out of the river and throw dirt all over itself. And so I was just thinking, we can declutter and be enthusiastic, feel the desire to declutter, but it is really important to not reclutter in the course.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. There's the decluttering and then adjusting adjusting my habits so that I don't create the same lower mode clutter. Thanks for sharing, Gajendra. Srimad Bhagavatam ki,
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hi, Bhakta George. Hare Bol.